This is Between Hooksets. I'm Jason Walter from In Through the Outdoors with my partner in slime, Kurt Underhill from the fishing crew. Hello.
Hey, there you are.
Yeah, well, we're all coming in hot. The boys were ready early. I was watching Yellowstone, and it's one of the Teeter episodes, so I was all kind of glued to the TV. I don't understand what the heck she's saying, you know what I mean? And was just like, wow. And I looked at the clock, and it's 6:55. You know, it was 5:30 when I started watching Yellowstone, and I guess I got a little hooked.
Oh, that happens. You know, and talking about coming in hot, these boys came in hot this weekend.
Oh, I'll tell you what, it is. It's amazing to see these youngsters succeed. You know, we've had guys like Trey McKinney on. That was Trey 19, right? And these guys are even younger than Trey, so I'm excited to bring him in and have a chat.
17 and 20.
Oh, 17 and 20. Okay, so
yeah.
They average 18 and a half. So
yeah,
still younger than Trey McKinney on average. So yeah, okay.
So we'll bring them in. Beau Schilling, Brady Gere. How are we doing tonight, guys?
Good.
How you doing?
Good. Pretty good. Now, Beau, what? Look at that. Wait, hang on. I was gonna save this for Halloween, but maybe I'll just go with this tonight. Now, hold on. I was gonna save this for Halloween. I was gonna be Ben Milliken, but I'm Beau Schilling. Like just go like this, right? I mean, hold on, a little fluffy.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, now let's get serious here. There's no time to screw around. We gotta. Brady, are you not? You'll laugh at a joke, won't you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was just checking because I'm like, whoo. All right. Tough audience here, but hopefully Milliken doesn't sue me for something crazy I did here tonight. But have you ever had one of those wigs on Halloween and then the hair just stays with you? I mean, it's all over stuck in my beard and it's everywhere.
I think that's you.
I don't think so.
Can't say I have.
Wow.
We have
all right,
hair.
let's,
you don't, Brian.
Let's get into this fishing thing now. Just a couple of quick pictures to show people you can catch fish. I mean that one and Brady, I couldn't fit yours in the screen, so I had to tip it sideways.
Talk about a head of hair.
Right. Yeah, right. Let's go back to that. Yeah, now Brady, I thought you had a head of hair there. Did you get a haircut this week or what?
Week or two ago, probably.
Week or two ago. Okay. All right, because most of the pictures I saw of you were of you with a fair amount of hair. Let's see. Oh yeah, look at that. So that was you, right?
Yeah.
And wasn't that
that's why we got him on?
Yeah, right. That's why I'm like, wait a minute here. You got that thing on. When did you shave?
A couple days ago.
Okay. All right. So you won. So you won the fall brawl, and you just decided to wake up the next morning and go, you know what? I better look like a champion. I better shave.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, you know, the cool thing here is you guys look like champions. This is an amazing story to be, you know, Beau, we know that you come from walleye fishing lineage. Your mom's a hell of a walleye.
Yeah.
Your dad, I've heard of. What's his name again? Chris? Cal? Chip? Chad. It's Chad, right? All right, I put it in my notes. It was Chad. Brady, how about you? You got a fish in the background? Do you come from walleye fishing lineage?
Kinda, not really. Just grew up walleye fishing.
Okay. So what made the two of you decide to do this whole walleye fishing thing beyond the fact that, Beau, obviously your dad's knee deep into it, your family's into it? You know, what makes you progress to this point?
I always grew up fishing tournaments with my dad, and we won a fair share of tournaments. Not a whole lot, but I always loved like chasing them bigger walleyes during them tournaments. And past couple of years, I've been fishing a couple here and there by myself, and I just really enjoy it. It's the adrenaline. It's so much fun always competing against some of them great anglers.
So are you a little more comfortable if we have the live scope on for you?
Yeah.
Do you feel a little bit better there now?
Yeah, that's my safe place.
Yeah. I'll tell you, it's a ton of fun. We'll get into that a little bit later. But Brady, how about you?
I kind of just, when I was a little kid, always wanted to walleye fish and fish tournaments.
So Brady, are you from Pierre originally? Is that where you grew up, or did you guys
Yep.
move in?
I've always lived here.
So I met Brady a couple years ago. You were kind of guiding, getting your feet wet, guiding. You started helping Paulie Steffen, didn't you? And being on the
Yep.
boat with him, and then you went out and bought your own boat and jumped into the whole guiding thing. And so now you guide. Is that what you do full time? Is guide? And
No, just part time.
yeah,
Much
that
as I can.
unfortunately the day job's getting away.
Yeah.
They do all your life until you get old and gray.
Johnny Candle's already got a comment.
Nice.
So he said, no idea when he communicated the other day. You just won the tourney. Nice work. So yeah, so you guys go out and it's kind of entertaining. You guys signed up, and I talked to Chad for a few days prior. Told him the tournament was coming up. We gotta see, and you guys decided to jump in. You kind of jumped in on like Wednesday or Thursday, last day to sign up. Got in the tournament, and it was just you two. And I actually called your dad and said, "Are you gonna just be the third wheel at some point?" And he's like, "No, I think I'm gonna let the boys swing for it." And you swung for it and you hit it out of the park. I mean, you weighed 26.10 on day one. And, you guys, you had a post on Facebook, your mom posted or something like that, or your dad posted about all the stuff a lot different than any other tournament. I mean, you fished, you got a Casino Cup second, a Walleye Classic third, I believe, right?
Yep.
And so this is your first bigger tournament you've won on your own.
Yeah, got in the Walleye Classic last year with Ben and his cousin, and went and did the same thing we kind of did in this last tournament. First day we had 27 pounds. We went out and caught a 12-pounder. And a 10-pounder by like 9 o'clock, and we're like, holy smokes. And then day two we had a slower day, and my dad and Tyson ended up beating me in that tournament, and then I got third in that one. And then we've been planning on getting in the championship. Me and my dad were actually going to fish that Casino Cup championship together here a couple weeks ago, and he was like, wouldn't it be better if we're both out there fishing our own game? We're both doing our thing. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. So I hopped in with a couple of buddies and had 2 good days. I mean, it was kind of windy, and I was running around in that older Pro V my dad bought for me, and had good days. And I ended up getting second to Paulie and Deagle and those boys. So, and then that Wednesday night when you called Dad, he told me about that tournament, and I went out fishing that night here, and I had a pretty darn good day. And he was like, well, go run down to their area tomorrow and see how you have a day, and if you do, we'll get you in that tournament. And me and Brady had a really good day of pre-fish on Thursday, and we ended up getting in that tournament, and I guess it paid off.
So 17 years old, I'm pretty sure school started. How's the attendance going this year?
Yeah, we're about 50% this year so far.
Ooh, well, you get Saturday school there if you're not careful, right?
Yeah.
So what sets apart a 17-year-old champion from a 37, 47, or even 57-year-old champion walleye fisherman? I mean, what's different about your game than the older guys?
I mean, like I tell everybody, I mean, it's just time spent. I guide out here out of a casca I'm 7 days a week most of the summer, and every night I go out and try to master that game. And don't get me wrong, I got so much to get better at. Hopefully one day I'll be as good as some of those guys running around on the tour. It just takes time, and I'm out fishing after guiding every day of the week pretty much. I just go chase those big walleyes and try to master that game. And Brady came out during the Classic this year, and he ended up getting second in the Classic this year. And I kind of showed him what I do and tried to get him like up to where like what I think and how I fish the fish. And it's just time spent. You get so much better at it. There's no learning it overnight. There's no video you can watch that makes you good at it. You just got to go out there and spend time.
But wait a minute, I thought it was a video game. You
Yeah.
were born with an iPhone in your hand, both of you, and that doesn't just automatically make you win tournaments because you turned on the live scope or the live sonar. You actually have to practice and work at it.
I mean, you can learn a lot on YouTube, but half the stuff you learn is just going out there and doing it. I mean, you have to spend time. And like I tell everybody, I spend as much time as I can out there. I mean, I'm out there 6-7 days a week chasing those big walleyes, trying to master that game, and it's just paid off a lot.
There's a code, isn't there? I mean, you got to break the code.
Gary here said he doesn't get tired. Oh, to be 17 again.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
100% agree. It's time behind them electronics. I mean, and that's what it is. And it's time. I mean, even not behind electronics, it's time on the water. You have to find these fish, know what they're reacting to, and it takes time. And that's awesome to go out and do it. But you guys had probably more adversity in this tournament than you've ever had. I mean, you guys made how far of a run? I mean,
we were running the farthest run. If it went south, we ran a little bit past the Whitlock's Bridge, and that was like plan B. Hopefully, we don't have to go there. And we actually ended up going there both days because we needed one more big over both days, and we ended up running a couple miles past that bridge.
So
that's a secret, right? Yeah. Isn't that a secret? I mean, we don't the sensors, but you can't. No, not okay. Don't mention that again.
So for people that maybe are just watching, we put in at Spring Creek. That's what 55-mile run,
55-mile run
by boat.
Like I said on stage, we had to run slow because I didn't want to risk the gas.
Eat all the gas. You're right.
So never being in a tournament, you know, that you've had to worry about gas, time management. I mean, you run up there and what an hour and
it's
10 minutes,
hour and a half to get to our first start spot, and that was in between like Sutton's and Stove, kind of.
So now in a 3-hour or an 8-hour fishing day, you've lost 3 hours. So you have 5 hours to connect on these fish.
Yeah, and if we went to plan B and ran past the bridge, you're breaking down even more time. So you needed to spend your time well.
So, I mean, what was the conversation in the boat on the way up, Brady? Like, are we ever going to get there? Like, what are we doing? Like, because you guide down here, and to make the run up north, like, you're probably like right there. We can catch a couple right there, right there.
I knew we were passing some spots that were holding fish, but I trusted Beau.
Yeah, it's a team working type of thing, isn't it? I mean, you both have to have the input, and you both have to help each other out. You know, let's do the Between Hooksets challenge here. Let each of you, can you catch one of those fish on the screen right now? I mean, just it should be a piece of cake. Okay, all right, that's what I thought. Just testing you.
You know, I talked to you guys a little bit on stage. You made the run up there, and we talked about it, like tackle you prepared in the boat. And Beau, you were ready to take everything out of the boat, and Brady told me, you're not taking those bouncer rods out of this boat. You're not doing it. No trolling rods, just jigging rod in hand. And did you ever have to go to the bouncing rod, or was it all jigging?
Yeah, the bouncers did see the water on day 2. Day 1, we were blessed with our slots. I mean, we caught them right with our big ones, and then day 2, we ended up getting out the bouncer rods. So good thing he convinced me.
Well, I got
to bounce a little bit.
I got to say, I've been doing this 16 years. I've seen a lot of people win. I've seen a lot of people's nerves, but I don't think I've seen anybody more nervous than your dad pulling in Saturday, like an hour and a half before weigh-ins, going, where's he at? Life 360 has him here close. And I'm like, he's not here. What's he still doing on the water? I said, maybe he's got to pick up one more. No, if he's back, he's got him. Like, he was losing his mind. I've never seen somebody so nervous.
I felt pretty good after day 1, but he was worked up. He was like, you just have to have a good day tomorrow. And I was like, yeah, I know. I was like,
but now Tail tells that you guys were pretty doggone confident going into day number 2.
Yeah, if you would have asked me after day 1, I was like, we're gonna have a good day tomorrow. Just gotta do the same do the same thing and play the same game. But You know how tournament fishing goes. It rarely goes to plan. So,
Well, here, let me pop up. This is last Sunday. Okay, I'm on an area lake over. I'm on Lake Ponset. Okay, so there's fish there, and Taylor's comments covering up the time. That doesn't matter, but I believe this was an hour and 15 minutes later.
oh yeah,
Fish disappear. You know,
yes,
I mean,
they do.
it's crazy to go from that to that. Gone. It's truly amazing. So you go an entire day, and what's to say it's there? But did LiveScope help you find the fish, or were you using side imaging to locate? What was the plan?
I really drove around till I seen the fish that I wanted to fish, and we have that live scope on the transom there, so you never have to stop. I'm driving around 8-9 mile an hour looking for the ones I want to find. And I told Brady, I was like, we might waste a couple minutes driving around trying to find the right fish, but hopefully it pays out instead of because you don't get very much time to fish and you're making a run like that, so every minute counts. And I was like, but I think we just have to find the right fish.
So
Are you
Taylor
Go ahead,
wants to know if you took the trophy to show and tell on Monday.
He told me he was going to be chipping in during this, and that guy. He's got a place out here in the casket too. We're pretty good buddies. No, the trophy didn't make it to show and tell this week, though.
They probably wouldn't let you bring it into school, would they? Like, oh no! You take that back out to the pickup. You can't.
That's
bring
probably a against the rules nowadays.
that. Right. Zach.
So you go drive around, you find these fish. I mean, Brady, you're sitting there. Obviously, everybody knows. You can see Brady's calm, cool, collected. Like I said on stage, he said 7 words to me in 3 years. I've got more words out of Brady tonight than I've ever gotten out of him. But I told him he had to come to my house like a cattle prod him under the trailer to talk. But he's done a great job. I got to give him that. But you're sitting in that boat, and he's just like, you got full confidence in your buddy. Is there ever a moment you're like, what did we just do?
Not really, besides when he didn't want to stop at one of the spots.
Did you guys have a little argument over a spot?
No, I just said it was day 2. I gave myself an hour to catch our slots. I was like, we have an hour, Brady. We had 0 slots in the boat. We had a little over 6 pounds, and I gave ourselves about an hour, and I was like, Brady, I think we go to plan C right away. And he was like, Beau, I think we go to plan B. I was like, okay, we'll give it 10 minutes. And we actually ended up smacking about 6-7 slots in about 15-20 minutes, which saved our day. So thank goodness for Brady's opinion there.
What's the water temperature like? Is it cooling down a little? It's been hot though this week.
Them mornings were cold. I mean, the water temp was definitely dropping, and that could have played a big role in it. From like when our slots weren't there day 2, that water temp could have moved a little bit, and they went up a little shallower trying to get some warm water. Or I don't know what happened, because our slots were in like 30 to 40 feet, and then we ended up finding them in like 8 to 12 feet.
Did you mark a lot of bait fish? Did you have the bait balls and stuff? Did they come back again? Because they went away for a while.
I mean, compared to a Casca and when I started pre-fishing down there, I mean, I have not seen that much bait for a long time. I mean, I've traveled around quite a bit, and I've seen that much bait before, but for a Wahi, I've seen so much bait lately.
So you fished a new body of water that, your dad, you guys said we didn't have waypoints on the graph. You've never been there. I mean, not body of water, but new stretch of water, I should say. Have you ever spent any time in that area, or?
Me and Dad will go down and guide for Paulie once a year, but we just pull bouncers. I mean, that was the first time I came down for the Govs Cup and helped Dad pre-fish a little bit, and actually ended up finding a couple fish for him, but that was closer to the dam than where we were. But from where we fished, I have never fished before, like for big ones like we did though.
So So when you're out there, without giving too much away, you're on a new stretch of water. What are you like? What are you doing when you first put your boat on the water? Like, are you looking at the graph going into it and going, I'm checking here, here, and here, or are you trolling at 8 miles an hour with your live scope going?
I really just look at the stretch on my graph and kind of see the structure, and in the trees that I want to fish or what, and then I'll kind of just drive areas with that transom mount and kind of see if when I see the right fish, I'll end up fishing them. We'll give them 10, 20 minutes, see how they're reacting, and check water temp and all that, and just kind of see how I just play the fish, and if they're not active, you just go to the next group. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's pretty easy to cover water nowadays with Livestock.
Yeah, well, and then with the water level down, I realize it's come up, but the water came down so far that a lot of us had an opportunity to fish more of the center of, not necessarily the center of the river, but we're fishing deeper because it's shallower. So we're 30 feet, 35 feet over the trees, but we're fishing areas we didn't know had trees. I fished 2 weeks ago. I fished an area and we started marking single trees. Blew my mind. I had no idea. And then for the fish on the single trees was phenomenal. I don't know if they were walleye. I don't know. We didn't have the kind of day where we could spot lock and sit right on them and not get pushed off of that. Or right now we've got current. So talk about that. Current does not make live scoping easy either, or scoping, I guess we were. So are you using live scope? Are you using Garmin, Lowrance, or Hummin?
Garmin, yeah.
Garmin. Okay. All right.
I was running my dad's boat over the weekend, and he's got both deucers, both live scope deucers on his Ultrex, and he's got that 219 Lund. It's the 2024, and that no matter the conditions, I mean, that boat just sits so well for me. I mean, it's just that trolling motor is a great trolling motor. It's just so easy to stay on those fish. And I'm used to running around in an older boat where you get pulled around a lot harder. So
right.
Once you get in that newer boat, it's just kind of like a dream. You're like, I'm sitting so good.
It really does change things. That trip on Lake Ponset where I was showing the fish, that was my first time out with the new Minn Kota. I've got a Tarova, but I went with it's a brand new one versus my 2013. So that 13, like you said, you're always getting pushed around, and to sit there and to scope and pitch to stuff makes it pretty tough. But this new technology, putting yourself into the breeze or into the wind, it does just it. I don't know how it can anchor like it does, but it does. You just don't move.
Yeah, that new Ultrex, I mean, it just sits. I mean, it's like a dream keeping up with those fish, and we were really blessed. We had 2 good days of weather, and you could really fish however you wanted to. I mean, it was probably kind of tough for the trollers because sometimes wind's better for those guys, but for forward facing sonar, those 2 days were pretty perfect.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
Brady, how many tournaments have you fished? Obviously the Classic and this one. Have you fished a lot of tournaments or mainly guiding out there?
Mainly guiding.
So going into the tournament, what kind of tournament prep are you like? What was your preparation coming into this tournament? Or was it, I'll put my rods in Beau's boat and hopefully we win?
Well, I kind of knew what we were going to be doing, so I prepared for that.
So
do you go into it with a million rods? Do you have stuff set one rod and you're retying, or are you just doing one thing?
Well, I got like a couple of rods for a technique, but I only have one jig wrap rod in the boat with us.
Is it what is it? 7 foot, medium, light, fast, ultra fast, extra fast?
I think it's 7 foot, medium, extra fast.
Yeah. So Beau, when you're prepping for this, what was preparation outside of 4+7 at school?
I had probably closer to 10 rods in the boat, and Brady brought his one, and I kind of had every lure tied up. I mean, I didn't know if it was going to be different down there towards pier or how those fish would react, so I was throwing all sorts of stuff, and the jig wraps and the finishers were probably our main baits throughout those couple days.
Do you think the finishers drop fast enough? To me, they seem really slow on the fall.
See, depending how the fish are reacting, I caught our big one day one was off a finisher. That one that got big fish for us, that was off a finisher. Sometimes those fish aren't shooting up really fast and they're kind of coming slower. They just like that slower falling bait, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay. It's a heck of a bait. I tried it the last couple of times and I struggle a little bit with it, but Kurt and I are not the best fishermen in the world, but we try sometimes.
All our slots on day 1 and day 2 pretty much came off a finisher too.
They did. So were you pitching 9s the whole time, or did you drop to the 7 a little bit?
Day 2 when we went up shallower, we were a 7. It just falls a little slower because sometimes when fish are coming up so fast for it, you just need a slower falling bait so they can actually get it in their mouth. But when we're out deeper, I like to throw a 9.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm just so surprised because the 9s are what, 3/4? Throw a 3/4 ounce jig, and I swear that thing will sink like a rock. And maybe Spengler and those guys when they built that finisher, they did that slow drop, and there's a reason for it. But it takes a little getting used to.
Yeah, like if you throw a jigger up to a finisher, you can read a book by the time it falls. You think? I mean, you're like, one of these days I'll get down there.
I love it. I love it. I think Kirk's speechless.
So
like
you go out there, you're in a tournament, and I mean this ain't the biggest tournament. Your dad says you can't read. Jack Keel's got a comment. Holy cow, Brady said something. Sorry, Brady, you're gonna get wrapped for being the quiet guy in the group, but
oh yeah,
looks like my dad had a beer or two. He's talking crap already.
maybe
Mom, I'm sorry, but those hair's coming after me.
Let's stop at Bob's maybe tonight again, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, they got the tater kegs now with queso. Woo! I like the tater queso.
So you go out there. You're in there's some stacked guys in this field. Maybe not the most stacked guys in the country, but there were some good fishermen. You get into that rules meeting, you're looking around, you're watching Calcutta go. You snuck your team out for $200, but there was teams selling for $800+ in there. What was like sitting there at 17 years old and 20 years old? What are you thinking? Like, I watch you two over in the corner, kind of hanging out, but
I was kind of like, Brady, we'll see what we go for. I mean, if we're going to go for under a couple $100, I was like, I think we got to take that risk. I mean, I was like, I'm not one to like spend a lot of money on myself, but if we go for a couple $100, I'm going to buy myself. I have that much confidence in my game.
You're sitting in there and you're thinking, okay, these guys are betting. They're doing all their things. There's we got Garrick McCumsey, 5-time Governor's Cup champ in the room. You got Chris Haynes. You got Max Sheets. You got some good sticks in that room. What are you like sitting there? What's your mindset outside the Calcutta? Like, what are you thinking? Like, holy cow, if I do something here, I'll be lucky, or what were you guys? I mean, obviously you wouldn't sign up for a tournament if you didn't have full confidence in it, but you had to have some of that in your mindset of, wow.
Yeah. There's some great fishermen in that tournament. And I was like, there's no game plan change. We're just going to go out there and do what we do. And I mean, we did what we did, and day 2 wasn't exactly how we planned, but I mean, after day 1, I was like, we got to beat a couple boats. We just have to get a good weight, play kind of conservative. We were up a couple pounds, and I was like, these guys are good though. We can't play too conservative, and we can't throw away the day. You know what I mean?
Well, and you got to be pretty confident because some of those guys were born with a phone that had a cord hanging on the wall, and the other ones had flip phones. So you got it made right there, just for the fact that you were born with an iPhone in your hand. So,
but on Saturday, what you guys don't know is guys were coming across the stage before you weighed in, after you weighed in, saying we fished right by those two, and they put on a clinic. They overhauled the fish. We were right there. We couldn't get them to go. So I mean, you had guys coming to me going, we watched them do it all day long, and they made it look easy.
Yeah, day 1, we pulled up to Plan A, and there happened to be 5 boats on there. So I was like, well, we're going to fish for a little, I guess. And it really worked out. We ended up getting our slots really quick. And yeah, but everybody did see us to get to catch a couple fish, I guess. There was a lot of boats around us.
Oh, your plan was to go for slots first and then go after your big fish?
Well, the day before, that Friday before, we didn't catch any big ones there, but we caught our slots there. But the day before that, I did get like an 8-9 pounder off where we started that day 1, and So it's kind of like we'll get our slots, and if we get a big one, it works as well.
So Brady, what was your like big one? What was minimum day one first fish? Like it's got to be 25 or bigger, or was it's got to be 27 or bigger?
Probably 27 or bigger in the morning, but once I got a little closer later in the afternoon, I probably could have settled for a little bit smaller fish.
But you didn't have
you didn't have to wait because you pretty much had your fish right away, right? Within the first, or did it take you most of the day?
We had that 30 and a half in our slots by about, what do you say, Brady, 10 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, probably.
Well, really, plan day one was like 2 8-pounders. I mean, if we got 2 8-pounders both days, we were going to be pretty happy with that. And our first fish, we were lucky enough to get. We never threw back an over. That I guess we did throw back a 20 and a half, but we never threw back an over day one. And day two was a whole different story. But it did take us till about that noon to get that second over in the boat, and that was a 8.5-pounder.
So how did that measure? 8.5? Was it like a 28, 28.5, 29?
I don't even think we ever measured it. I almost wanted to throw it back, and Brady convinced me to keep it. I was like,
really?
I was like, we might need a bigger one, Brady, because I seen a couple guys around us catch some good slots day one because we're right next to them, and I was like, we might need a bigger one, which I'm glad he convinced me because it ended up working out.
You only had just shy of a 4-pound lead on second place. You know, I mean, you probably could have thrown it back and got a little smaller one, but you'd have hurt yourself on your lead. But I mean, like I said, guys were up there going, they worked them over, they got the fish. You get up there day two, your fish are not there. Is it, what do we do now? Or was it just like, okay, next spot?
So day two, apologize. And our slots are completely gone. They were kind of in the tops of the trees, and they were coming out a couple feet to get the bait day one. And day two, they just weren't there. I mean, there was a couple, and they weren't reacting well. And I ended up getting a 6-pounder, and its airbag came out of its mouth because I reeled it up too fast. And I was like, well, we're going to keep this one, me and Brady decided. And then we're like, the next one's got to be big. And then we ran to plan B. I mean, there was no talking where we were going. We knew where we were going. And I ended up throwing back probably 5 or 6 overs. And we threw back a 7-pounder right when we got there. And then we ended up keeping a little over a 6. So
that's hard to throw a 7-pounder back.
How do you do that? Like, you've got a 4-pound, almost 4-pound lead. You got a 6-pounder in the boat. Like, you smashed out 26 pounds, one of the biggest probably slot fish weights we've seen on Lake Oahe. How do you throw a 7-pounder back?
I was just pretty confident that I could get like an 8+. And I mean, I had the fish on, and we missed a couple bites, but that's just tournament fishing, and we ended up not being able to get one bigger. And about with an hour to fish, I was like, I guess we probably should keep the next one over 6 pounds, because I threw back probably 4 in between that 4 to 7 pounds, 4 to 6 pounds. And I was like, well, Brady, I guess we probably have to keep our next one over 6 pounds. And then about 10 minutes later, I ended up getting that fish. But yeah, I just couldn't. The day two, they were acting really weird for us. And apparently some guys got into them because there were some pretty big weights day two. And I just couldn't get a big one to go.
So Brady, when he throws a 7-pounder back, are you like, I'm throwing you out of the boat, you do that again? Or are you just like, oh, well, whatever, I'm going to sit back here?
We both kind of made the call that we thought it'd be best for the 7-pounder to go back, open for a bigger one, but.
Well, you're going for the win, right? I mean, why go for second place? So if you're confident, you obviously had the marks, right? You saw the fish, you knew they were there, and you knew that you could upgrade and catch a bigger one.
Yeah, we definitely, the fish were there in our plan B, and had a couple of good bites that could have been bigger fish, but that's just tournament fish, and you go into the tournament expecting to lose a couple, and yeah, it just didn't work out. I mean, when I was pre-fishing, I never caught a small over. I had like 125 was the smallest fish we caught, and then I ended up catching 4 or 5 of those during the tournament, and that's just tough. I mean, there's some really good fishermen in that, and I told Brady on the way in, I don't think we got it done, because there's some really good fishermen in this tournament.
When we held you guys to the end, at what point did you realize, like, was there a point until we weighed that stage that you knew you won it? Or was it like...
I seen McCumsey. I thought McCumsey had a big bag because he was the boat in front of us. I was like, golly, it's going to be close. And then they said his weight. And I was like, unless we're 2 pounds lighter than I think we are, I think we got this, Brady. And then we couple smiles and hugs, you know.
You know, that's the thing is, you know, you get the hand scales out there, you do that stuff, and I've had people come in, like a couple guys this week, and like, wow, that weighed more than I thought we had. Or guys say, I thought we had more than that. So even weighing on them hand scales, they don't come in as accurate as the scales we run on. So like you're sitting out there and you think you have 23, you know, you don't really know. So it's kind of got to be one of those mindsets of, until it actually happens, you might think you have it, but you didn't, like I said, you didn't blow it out of the water on day 2. If you'd have brought another 24 to 26 pound bag in, there's no way. Like you guys would there had to be full confidence driving back in, but with an 18 pound bag, you had to be going hoofda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told Brady coming in, I was like, I think we got about 18 pounds. And in all reality, I would have said 18 and a half, 19 pounds, but you always want to be on the lower end because you don't want to overguess it. And Brady's like, yeah, I think we got 19 pounds or so. And I was like, it's going to be close. And thankfully, we got her done.
So I don't know if Jason got the photo, but you had all 3 trophies strapped in the back seat of the pickup.
Oh, I was going to grab that one and I didn't. I wish I would have. I do have this one though, so everybody can see it. I should have grabbed that because that was fantastic.
Dad told me you gotta strap them in. He was like, "That's always the funniest thing when they strap them in."
And I think you and Tom Wynn did the same thing. I think he strapped everything in. Right.
Yeah. So so you win this one. Obviously, you got school all year, but then guiding starts again. But what's the future? What's the future look like for both of you guys?
I mean, I'm really looking forward to hopefully one day being able to chase them big walleyes on tour with all those guys. And I think me and Brady are going to fish that NCT at Pigstown. So that'll be
qualify for that.
And I plan on getting in the Govs Cup in this tournament again because I didn't get in last year because I was guiding during it, and then Dad did. But I really plan on getting in those tournaments, and probably not this next year, but a couple years after, I'll probably go chase them walleyes on tour with those guys.
So let's throw Kurt under the bus. So what dates are the Gov Cup for the 51st there, Kurt?
Always the 3rd weekend in July, like the 20th weekend.
Yeah. What was it, 2021, 22, or is it 2021?
I think it's 2021.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I'm supposed to ask you what you did the last 2 days after the tournament.
I went back out fishing.
It was good. Why stop now?
I mean, like I said, there's no amount of time that'll hurt your game. I mean, putting time out there just gets you that much better.
Well, I did tell these 2 boys what they didn't know the underlying of winning this tournament is they have to take us out for a day. They didn't know that. They didn't read the fine print when they signed up that they have to take it.
I got my bow hair. I mean, we can be partners.
Yeah.
We can be both, you know.
So you got Brady, what's up for you? Like, what's your plan? Keep guiding? You gonna go chase the circuit? Do you have the itch to fish the tournaments like Beau is talking about, or just go fishing?
Maybe someday, but right now I just kind of want to focus on guiding and fishing a few local tournaments.
Learning more.
Yep.
Like I said, hours behind it is the key to success nowadays. And I mean, it's been the key to success for years, even before forward-facing sonar. The guys that were dominant on the circuit put their time in. I mean, really, that's what it is. And I mean, Beau, your dad went out and was rookie of the year, angler of the year multiple times. He's done those things, but that wasn't just because he showed up and fished.
Yeah.
He was fishing nonstop. And I mean, I guess that's the thing is if you want it, you have to put the time in. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, you can spend all the time in the world pulling plugs and pulling bouncers, but nowadays sometimes just to compete you got to learn that forward facing sonar game. I mean, that's huge. That's become such a huge role in the tournament fishing nowadays. And yeah, you can really fish whatever way you want. I mean, you can throw flukes, you can throw wraps, you can throw crawlers, you can throw finishers. I mean, you can really fish any style with that forward facing sonar. It's just you got to learn how to work your baits and how to learn how the fish react and how to play how they react, and it's a whole different game.
So is boat position big for you?
Yeah, I mean, you can throw. Sometimes I have to work a fish for 10 minutes to get to react. I mean, you just have to have your boat right on the fish and have your bait right. And I mean, I have, like in that casino championship day 2, I threw at this fish probably 20 times, and I drove over it, and I had Hunter Friend in the back on the shuttle, and he dropped down and caught the fish first drop. It was just a different angle that the bait was coming at the fish, and he said that fish came up 5 feet to get it too. I mean, it's huge. Like, I'm always trying to work into the wind so your boat sits better straight, but I always bring my boat over and try to get straight with that fish. Just so your trolling motor's not turned off to an angle, you can have it right here, you know.
I mean, I think boat control comes into the game a lot more than a novice live scoper would think. Is it's not just having that scope on your boat, it's controlling your boat as well.
Yeah, that's what Dad told me last year. He was like, you got the casting down, you got the how the fish react down. You just got to learn how to control the boat better. And I put in the hours this summer, and I just kind of learned how to hold my boat right and how to be positioned to catch those fish better.
Yeah, I know that's one of my problems. I'm not seasoned at it. Matter of fact, I use my remote with this new Tarova that I bought. I finally took the foot pedal out, and I'm going to start learning to do it, because you gotta be free. You got to be able to do stuff, right?
Yeah.
And boat control is key. It is truly amazing. It's probably more important than it is for bouncers, right?
Yeah.
They always used to say boat control, which makes sense. I understand that. But the whole bouncer thing and the whole crank thing is a lot of chance. And I guess live scoping is by chance too. But you're more engaged with the scoping, and it's just a ton of fun, and it's frankly addicting.
Oh, 100%. I mean, once you learn how to scope and you really love it, I mean, a lot of guys won't even go back to pulling cranks. I mean, it's a whole different game. It's fun. I mean, once you get it down pretty well, I mean, it's just a blast when you learn how to do it.
So are you using the live scope when you're bottom bouncing or pulling cranks? Are you still utilizing that?
So what we did, I kind of chased them up front, and we drug bouncers behind the boat when we were up shallow, and that worked pretty good. And but sometimes you just got to drive your line and stay in the right depth and whatever. But in Sakakawea this year, I would look around because those fish are so balled up, and I would just drive over the pods. I would swerve all over, try to keep the same speed, but I would pull right over the pods. I would just kind of chase the pods around.
It's amazing. It's so much fun.
Like Keith Pazur caught the state record, last year up there. He literally said he had his live scope in reverse and watched that fish.
Yeah.
It's crankbait. And he was snap waiting, but it's not just necessarily for jigging. I mean, it can make you, maybe a guy that doesn't want to sit up there and jig can learn live scope by bottom bouncing, by trolling, and learn what you're looking at.
Yeah, a lot of guys if you're pulling bouncers and you start looking around and them fish are in a different depth, or if you're pulling cranks and you see them over there, it absolutely saves their game sometimes, because from day to day, those fish can go from 35, 40 foot up to 20 to 25, or maybe out suspended a little. I mean, it plays a huge role in everything.
So when you're targeting these in boat control, sorry to jump around, but are you a believer in let's have this thing mounted on that trolling motor, or so no pull in your boat? It's on that trolling motor.
We had a pull too. Gear was in the back on a pull, but I'm chasing those fish around on the trolling motor, and I really believe in that. Once you learn how to use that, and like I said, you can always get better, but once you learn how to use that trolling motor, I feel like it's a whole different game.
Yeah, you're driving to them rather than watching and sitting and turning, and you're able to concentrate and focus on one thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also times for pulls too if you're fishing current or really windy.
That's always been my question is like you spot lock in wind or whatever, and your head unit just your trolling motor keeps moving. How do you stay on those fish? And that's where I've always went to like a pole for a novice boat control guy or something like that. Is a pole you can at least lock on that fish and watch it.
Yeah, like if you're in big waves or like Gear said in current, if you spot lock that and your fish are sitting still enough or if they're potted up enough, that pole is great sometimes too. It just really depends where you're fishing, what the weather is, if there's current or not, or how the fish are acting and how bunched up they are.
Well, and really, Kurt, when you and Bible and I went out fishing, we each had live sonar, and it was amazing. Because if it would have been left to one, if Bible would have had his up front and you and I would have been back doing what we've done, since we were kids with our flip phones, okay, I grew up with a phone on the wall with a cord, but I'll admit that. But still, it's a different way to fish. And when we were doing it, we were jigging on fish below us and tossing out to fish away from the boat. But there's just something about it that I would say, and I've not unlocked the code. And Kurt, you obviously haven't unlocked the code yet either, but you guys did. You got it figured out, and you're making it work for you. And are you eyeing, and Brady, I know you're going to stay guiding, but Beau, are you eyeing the Masters Walleye Circuit, the National Walleye Tour, that kind of thing? Are you eyeing that kind of deal?
Yeah, I definitely want to go on the NWT one day and be able to compete with some of those great guys. And I just love the adrenaline of tournament fishing, and there's nothing better than it. Chasing big walleyes all around the world is my dream. Has been my dream forever. I've been talking to Dad about it since I've been a little kid. It's just always something I've wanted to do.
So Scott Pitlick asked you. I think you answered this, but what brand trolling motor are you running?
We're running that Ultrex. I think Dad's gonna go to the Quest the next time, that Ultrex Quest, the new one. It's brushless. It's supposed to have a lot more power, but right now we just have that Ultrex.
Yeah, that Quest I hear is amazing. I had Eric Brandwright do an episode for In Through the Outdoors, and for some reason, that Quest episode where he talked about it for the very first time has just been a dominating episode because people are so they're so into it. It's expensive.
Yeah.
What are $4,500, something like that. So it's an investment.
Yeah,
But
I was guiding in broken Altera this summer, and I mean those aren't cheap either. No trolling motors are cheap. Now you spot Trova, you said. I'm sure that was plenty. If they were cheap,
I got lucky,
would
got
have
it on a radio auction for $1,000.
Oh.
It was a $2,000 deal, but it was a 12 volt, and I've got a small 16-foot boat at home here, so it worked perfect for me. So I've saved a little bit of change, but yeah, the new technology is so different from, if you bought a Tarova, or if you bought a trolling motor in 2017, 19, it's way different today than it was even 5 years ago. And it's amazing. I fished with Kurt Reef one time, pre-fish with him, and we had big wind. And I think it was before the National Walleye Tour in 2022 on Francis Case. But anyway, we're in big wind. We're bouncing down 2 foot, 3 foot waves. And that boat just sat there. We were chucking into the rocks and not moving. The distance between us and shore didn't change. And it's amazing how well you can keep a boat on a spot without an anchor and a rock.
Yeah, I have that Center Council Angler Quest I got guide out of, and that Altera. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of wind I'm in. Them Minn Kotas are good trolling motors. They hold you pretty still, and they're pretty impressive.
Brady, what do you use when you're guiding?
I have a Garmin trolling motor.
And how do you like it?
I like it.
Guys that have them like them. I've not had the experience.
You have the new Kraken or the?
Yeah, the Kraken.
Yeah, we used to have Dad had that tiller last year, and I think he had the Force. It's called.
Yeah.
And that's pretty handy trolling motor. There was just like a tad difference in sway from the Minn Kota to the from the Minn Kota to the Force, and I I mean, that Minn Kota is hard to beat, and it's wired right to the foot pedal. I mean, it was exact every time, and you notice little things like that once you do it enough.
Well, it's kind of crazy to think about it, the evolution of it. I mean, you guys are probably too young to remember the old cable drives when you let your foot off them and they spun 900 times in a circle, to going to the Tarovas and all this stuff, back to I remember the time where you didn't see a cable drive. Very few guys had a cable drive on their boat. Now the Quest, the Kraken, all these are back to the cable drive. I mean, they're not cable drive, but the cable drive style trolling motors.
I'm sorry I'm laughing, but I grew up on a cable steer.
Oh, I remember the old pulleys.
You remember those? You got the cable, got the deal with the cables that come around the side and the pulleys, and hey.
These two have seen those in museums.
yeah, that's a darn fun memory. I like that. I do, but it's just so crazy how we get this technology, and we think, when I bought my stuff back, I bought a small boat in 2013, and I went out and bought $5,000, $6,000 worth of electronics. I wanted to learn how to use it. Not only that, I had a 6-year-old kid, and I thought, if I take him fishing and I can set that contour at 10 feet and it'll just fish the lake while he and I are fishing, and you don't have to drive the boat, there's no better boat control than that. And then South Dakota wind kind of wrecked that. It's not as easy as one might think, but the technology is it's absolutely nuts. So now, speaking of technology, do you use the 2D and the down and the side, or is that stuff just ancient?
So on like rivers, side plays a big role in it, and depending on the time of year, depending the depth of the fish, I mean, it all depends on that. Like this last weekend during the tournament, I never turned on my down or my side. I just drove around with that Transamount live scope, and that's pretty hard to beat.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, maybe it's because I'm older, I don't know, but I love to use the 2D, the down, the side, and the live all together. I guess maybe I'm learning more from it.
Guiding wise, that's all I run. Like I'll run my side scan and my down and my 2D. I don't even have a transom on my Tritune, but on Dad's boat, like when you're looking for those bigger class walleyes and you're out a little deeper, that 2D doesn't always get it done, and you can just drive back and forth and cover a lot of water even without side scan. So yeah, it really depends what time of year and what depths and whatnot. So
are you one of those where you've used 2D enough where you can tweak that thing just enough to be able to tell bigger fish from smaller fish according to the colors in the 2D?
So I have Garmin on my Tritune, and I've got that pretty down. I can tell like when I'm driving over better sized fish or when you see better sized fish up on side scan, but like that transom mounts with that live scope, I mean, I know what marks I'm kind of looking for on the live scope, and I mean that's just hard to beat. That Lowrance is pretty good to tell too. Like looking on 2D and down scan, just looking for the right fish. That's pretty easy to tell. Like when you're over better fish.
Are you using the blue? Are you using the classic blue with the yellow and the red, or are you doing the amber or green or
the classic?
Wow. It's easier to tell things apart. I think you can identify your bait better instead of having that itty bitty little white speck, or if you get lucky enough, you get the grain of rice. With the classic blue, you're getting some color there and some separation, and it does make things easier.
Yeah, I've heard some guys say when they're over trees, different colors are better, but that classic's pretty good.
Yeah, I tried I think it's Caribbean.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, and so you've got that. You kind of have that turquoise with yellow and white, and I think I'll agree that there was a color or two that did seem better over the trees. There was better separation, although there's so many fish in the trees most of the time. It's pretty easy. I think the one lesson I learned, I was when I first started, you're in 110 feet of water, so you're 65 over 40 or 105 feet of water, and I'm trying to find my jig in 110 feet. Well, I finally realized I'm at the top of the tree, so why wouldn't I just bring that up to 70 feet? And then I got my grain of rice. And you know, and you have to be smarter than your electronics in order to make it work for you. Because look at a lot of these guys that complain, you just go turn it on. Well, the thing doesn't work. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
You haven't played with it, you haven't practiced.
Yeah,
Kurt, Kurt you got settings from somebody. I don't know if we dare say who you got your settings from, but you got your settings. And I guarantee that somebody else's settings, Beau, did you have your dad do the settings and then you just did it, or do you have your settings and your dad has his settings?
Settings are huge. I mean, I always look for those longer marks and those less fuzzy marks on the live scope, and I mean, your settings play a huge role in that. And I mean, like when I'm looking for fish, I see the right marks. You don't look for those fuzzy marks. I mean, you're trying to decipher between catfish, carp, and walleye, sometimes pike. I mean, it's just hard to tell. Like, you really have to have your settings right, and really, it's a lot easier to tell those walleyes from those other fish, those big class walleyes.
And the big walleye act way different than your eaters or even the small, the 10s. The 10s, 11, 12s are just, they're doing everything all over. Yeah. They're freaking out like kids on a playground. And the older the fish gets, the more calculated they are, right?
Yeah, those bigger fish, I mean, those little ones will shoot from 100 miles down and come up way too fast. And those big fish, and you see come up and swoop, and it's pretty cool to watch.
It's for the person who hasn't had the opportunity to watch that fish circle around a bait and watch that big tail come around. Takes 20 minutes.
I took out his boat the past couple nights. I probably won't hear the end of that.
That's too good. So, well, guys, we're rolling up on that hour mark. We appreciate it. We look forward to following along with both of you as adventures continue and tournaments continue. And I don't think we're seeing the end of either one of you two boys. No. I mean, the first time I met Brady was like BPI guide group, and we were doing a little Calcutta thing, and they're like, who should I bet on? And I'm like, I don't know. Who's this Brady Gere guy? I don't know. He shows up and he wins the damn thing. And I'm like, maybe bet on him next time. I didn't know who he was.
I love it. It's so much fun. So, well, I'm sure I know we're going to see you at the Gov Cup. Are you going to try to do the Cedar Shore thing this year in April? Or next year, I should say?
I don't know for sure. I'll probably have to talk to the old man, see what he thinks. But
you got school, though, don't you? Yeah. School won't get out till May something.
See what mom and dad say. See if I can get out and chase a couple walleyes.
Yeah. Do you go to school all day and just like count the minutes till it's time to go?
A lot of videos watched about walleye fishing during the May hours.
Hey, wait a minute. Here's a science lesson for you.
Yeah.
So graduating high school, what's the plan? Go guiding? I mean, that's kind of your family business is to dive in it, or we got college in mind, or
no college. I've had enough education.
Walleye University is up next.
Yeah. Walleye University, yeah.
I love it. Hey, by the way, speaking of Walleye University, the THU Tom Wynn University is coming out real soon, and Tom Wynn is going to join us next Wednesday. So we're excited about that. And Johnny Candle popped on in the beginning of the show. We're going to try to fit him in here too before we get through the month. Slots on worms.
We pre-fish. We did catch a couple slots on that jig and crawler, that tungsten jig and crawler, but caught some on the bouncers too. So some of them slots, but I caught some casting. But most of our slots were on finishers and crawlers. Yep.
I think Kurt's dog is licking his leg or something.
No, it's not that. I don't know. We got some weird noise going. I was trying to fix it.
That's all right. Don't fix it. We're wrapping up anyway. Fellas, it's been great to have you on. It's been a ton of fun. It'll be fun to watch you grow and go. And I guess Brady didn't want to quite say goodbye.
Brady couldn't get out of here fast enough.
I'm done with these buffoons. That's it. We're out.
Well, thanks for having us on, guys.
Hey, thank you very much. Fantastic.
Thanks, I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you much, Josh. Thanks for watching. All right, Kurt, I'm excited for next week to have Tom Wynn on. We've got a lot to talk about with Tom.
And Drew Shute.
Yeah, and Drew. Yeah, right. And Drew Shute. And of course, he's from the Pierre area. If people don't know that, so that's truly amazing. And I think it's going to be a great show. Tonight was a ton of fun.
Yes, it was.
Brady just brought the funny out in me.
You were on one.
Thank you. It was a ton of fun. Well, I couldn't help the bow hair thing. I lucked out and found that, and I it's one for the books. So anyway, it's been fun, folks. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Enjoy
everybody.
your week.